Okay, so you've said this several times. Explain this one more time, Casey.
Yeah?
What the hell are you saying?
I at this point, I've explained it to you so many times. I don't understand another way to describe this.
Do you understand, Jimmy?
Like, if it's not getting through your head, like, for 5 weeks now, you've been asking me the same thing. Yeah. And like, this is ridiculous. I've run out of, you know how I've gone to vocabulary lists to just find different ways that I can describe this shit to you?
The bad ones, the bad vocabulary list, the ones that don't explain nothing.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is not okay?
No. What do you mean, is this okay?
Why?
I guess we'll have to cut out the last 30 minutes.
If you
I've said we can't talk about race. We can't talk about, like, gender stuff. We can't talk about...
It's not race. It's not gender. That's not what I'm talking about. See, clearly still, you don't even understand it either. This is a very nuanced take. It's...
Then explain it. How is it so hard? How is it so hard to explain it then?
How is it
If it's
so
easy?
Because I've already
It's
explained it
easy to
so many times.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yoshi.
Oh, okay.
Yoshi doesn't belong in the medium that he has been placed in. Okay.
I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
No. It's completely obvious, and I know that in Resident Evil, the next Resident Evil movie, they're not even going to include him. When it's based
Yoshi?
in the lore. It is based in the lore. I
think you're mixing up the big green dinosaur from Mario who shits eggs with the thing that crawls on the ceilings in Resident Evil and has the big tongue.
Big tongue.
Yeah, liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's called liquor, yeah.
It's called a liquor.
Yeah, it's called liquor.
That is what plebeians think. Okay, if you really dig into the lore, they're the exact same thing.
The Matt Pat film
All right?
theory.
Listen, both developed in Japan.
Yep. I was gonna say that.
Yep. Both have really long tongues. Grab things, lick things. Okay.
Oh, I could barely hear that. Could you do that again?
Yeah. Could you do that again? That was a little.
Like, crank it up. Yeah, there we go. Do you
I
feel
thought- I thought
sufficiently
you did better.
humiliated?
I thought I said it so you couldn't hear it.
I can never.
how it works.
I can never feel humiliated because I don't value your opinions.
Anyways, welcome back.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
That was
It's
the cold
been-
opening.
It's been literally 6 months. I looked at the podcast thing today. It's been 6 months.
This has been 6 months.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, some of the longest 6 months of my life.
Feels longer.
Yeah. No, me
it does
too.
feel longer. Yeah, for many. Yeah, we all have very personal reasons for it to feel as long as it did.
Yeah.
But I think
I lost weight for this stream.
for this stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
You
sound
look great.
so I
look
can
fucking
sound
great.
thinner.
Yeah. You look fucking great. I gained 70 pounds.
I know. It's really
You can hear it
concerning.
in my voice. You can hear I'm
I can hear
tired.
it in your voice.
I'm like, you
can
hear
hear the
like
voice.
my goiter dragging down. You can hear it dragging down my vocal cords. I'm so fat that I sound like this now.
You can hear my lungs fighting me.
You can hear every sentence is a struggle.
well, at least Matt has stayed the exact same.
Matt hasn't
I don't
changed,
think
like-
you've even changed what you're wearing in
I
6
lost
months.
like 10. I thought I lost 10 pounds, but it was because I was wearing clothes. When
Yep.
I tested it.
What kind of fucking clothes were you? Were you wearing your
My
work
clothes are just heavy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're good. They're solid. They're
I
high
guess so.
quality.
It's like
yeah.
10 pounds of clothes, I guess.
But yeah, I usually don't get on a scale wearing steel-toed work boots, 3 pairs of jeans, a Carhartt coat, every scarf in my closet, while balancing an anvil on my head.
and
So I
and
would
that
not
in your
say
pockets are always just full of nails, like
Just
loose nails.
Loose
Yeah.
nails.
That's actually very true. Yeah, screws. But every time I'm in the washer, they're gonna like ting 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 ting. Oh my god! Damn.
What's the craziest thing you've had to pull out of one of your pockets after like a job site?
I don't know, razor blades.
Now that would be fucked up to put in a
My
washer.
apprentice
That'd
hates the
tear your
fact
shit
that I
apart.
leave my blade open sometimes in my bag, so you can't really grab anything quickly in my bag or it'll cut your hand.
Ah!
Yeah, he doesn't
That's
like
an
it.
anti-theft
Like a-
property.
He doesn't like it. I don't know
That's
why.
true. It's a boot. I think it qualifies as a booby
I like
trap.
because it's already open when I pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't help. You can't throw your hand.
Is
out
it like
too
a
fast.
box cutter? Like a
Yeah, it's sharp.
Okay.
Look at your
yeah.
hand.
Yeah, you should probably stop doing that.
Yeah. it takes a tenth of a second to flip that thing down.
You know, sometimes I only got minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. You're so fast. You're just like, does this cut now?
Yeah.
Does this go now?
Yeah.
Every frame counts. You know what I mean?
Every
Like,
frame of painting.
yep. Every frame
As
of
they
painting.
said.
Yeah, every frame of painting, the still frame of you reaching your backpack and pulling out a spurting, like just you've got a gash all the way down your hand.
Oh yeah, that's every day. It's every day.
It's not as dangerous for him as
You
cooking.
got those callus gloves. Oh, you've been cooking a fuckload.
Yeah.
I broke a dish yesterday.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Ben was there. He saw it. He didn't think it even touched anything.
He's making pizza, and then the next thing I know, he's got like 5 cuts on his hands.
yeah.
What?
I grabbed
Yeah.
the food processor.
Oh
my
Yeah, he just
God,
reached in and
ow.
grabbed the blades of the food processor.
Holy, like they're running and
New.
you stop them with your hands?
No,
That's so
no,
metal.
it's new.
I was taking it out of the
Okay.
packaging, so it was sharp as hell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it fell and I grabbed it.
Most amazing thing, he still
Okay,
still
yeah.
cooked the pizza.
Yeah.
And a little blood never killed nobody.
Little iron.
Especially in a pizza.
Made it better.
I don't know if I cut my hand in 3 to 4 different spots, I think I'd call it.
Just call whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm hungry.
yeah,
Making
yeah.
Pizza. I could put blood in it. I'm gonna want to eat it.
It's true. That's true.
I'm not giving it to anybody. It's my
It's not like
pizza.
you. Even if you were, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we cooked
Did you
that
cook
shit
in
out.
blood in this? This tastes like blood.
Did you cook blood into this? I can taste the blood. Yeah.
Is this crust full of blood? Stuffed crust.
blood
You
stuffed
eat it,
crust.
It's like
Yeah.
a gusher, blood stuffed crust. Oh, it's like a fucking blood pie.
It'll
It's
cook
like-
out.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It'll cook out.
Yeah. Although
Casey always doesn't like when I eat things that look green, like vegetables.
No, it's never vegetables. It's things that shouldn't look green that look green.
It'll cook out, like I said.
Like I've said, I think it cooks in. I think it cooks in. There's
What
a
cooks
little
in?
bit that cooks out. But,
Bacteria you can just burn off.
yeah, but you're still cooking the rot in.
yeah. Well, yeah. If it's rot, then that should.
You're just
cooks
changing its state.
It cooks out.
I don't. Well, I'm a little more on Casey's side now. I'm not
No.
sure if rot cooks out.
Yeah.
No, that's how you
Yeah.
get food poisoning.
Like bread. Like when bread gets moldy, it's just
You
an
cut
extra.
you cut the moldy parts off.
that or you just eat it with penicillin.
And cheese and no.
Yeah.
Penicillin, yeah.
No.
A little bit of penicillin every day.
That's not penicillin. Once mold's on bread, it's fucked, right? You can't actually cut off parts of it. It's like all
I
the way
do.
through.
It's just
I mean,
cheese.
smells
You're
weird.
supposed to do that, basically.
I'll throw it out
those
regardless.
Yeah, I will also toss it out. But
like regardless if it's moldy or not.
if there's mold on it, the whole thing's done.
No,
No, it just smells like medicine. You can still
even
get
if
it. It does. It just smells a little bright and spry.
That's fine.
little spry.
I'm
Yeah.
not going
I
to
guess
eat something
alcohol-
that smells like medicine that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's also like alcohol smell. It's like definitely a penicillin smell.
Fuck sort of cultures have you grown in your fridge?
Listen, this is why Matt doesn't get sick, but when he does, it's bad.
That's a good, yeah.
I get sick all the time. I just work through it.
God, what a Chad.
Yeah.
I'm
was
such
just
a,
really
I'm
bad,
such
then
a
I stayed
huge
home.
fucking pussy. Like, when I'm the more I think about it last week when I was like on the toilet with a bucket on my lap, like for 6 hours straight.
Right.
It happened to Trevor too. I think because rotavirus has been going around.
Oh.
So I think maybe we got hit with that.
Why was Trevor so funny? Is that the name, Trevor?
Yeah,
Why
well,
is that
yeah.
funny?
You
What's
No,
the
I thought
funny
it was.
about Trevor?
I thought it was funny that he also got just as like horrifically
Oh,
sick.
it was It was like they can't keep down water.
I thought it was
like,
funny because
yeah.
I didn't even know he was sick.
I didn't even know it.
That's why you said that. Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't know you sick.
No, like but like that after that, I mean, I was out of commission like all week.
Yeah.
I'm still like ramping up at the beginning of this week. I can't. I get sick and it's like,
Didn't you work that week though? Technically.
oh, I had to.
Yeah, you worked. At home.
Yeah. I mean, I work
Between
from
the sentences,
home.
you just threw up.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, I didn't like do anything that week, but like I did have to go, I had to actually go into the office and that was fucking awful. I wouldn't have if I didn't have to.
When when I was I think a year.
The Office
or two,
is kind of awful, isn't it?
When I was
It's
a
really
year or
awful.
two in, I think there was a job where they super needed me, which is because of small scales. Like personally, this guy was like, I really need a lot of help, and I think I threw up like 3 times before I left that job site. And I did. I went to my truck and threw up, and then I finally went like, "Hey man, I think I gotta go. I threw up 3 times already." He's like, "Yeah, I mean, sounds like he's." I'm like, "I know you really
Sounds
need help."
fucking
He's like,
awful. Yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm just, and then when I was driving home, halfway threw up,
Yeah.
and then I threw up like 3 more times that day.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's when I go home.
This is
You go hard.
This is a great episode to come back to.
Yeah. No, it's already vomitous. It's already like we're talking about body fluids.
The vomit.
You can if you want.
I mean, how you described what you eat already made me want to vomit. So.
You haven't seen what I've been making some glorious.
You send me pictures all the time. It's like straight from a fucking restaurant.
Yeah, no,
Shit
he's
he makes is
making good.
immaculate.
My last meal was
curry.
like I still got tons left over, and it tastes exactly like the restaurant. I'm so proud of that.
Wow.
Like exactly
That
how
kicks
I
so much
ordered
fucking
it.
ass.
It's so good.
That rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It just took like 10 years of experimenting without looking at recipes. Then I looked at recipes and I can actually cook.
Yeah.
Meat and cheese, there's
Funny how
not
that
much you
works.
can do with it.
Yeah.
But I did. That's what I was doing for like 10 years, just adding more cheese to things.
I feel like that's been the big theme of the late 20s is being like, okay, yeah, you kind of figure out what it is to be like an adult or whatever. And then you're like, oh man, I don't know how to cook or how to fix a car or how to, and then it's like time to fix that.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be the Renaissance man.
Yeah. That's a
why I
cool
grew up
idea.
toward.
It's a fucking cool ass idea.
Stay curious, as they say.
I love it.
What it is.
I think despite everything that we've all been through in the past, 6 months, I will say
I'm good.
I think okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me fucking finish. It doesn't matter how bad or how good it is, all the good things, all the bad times, nothing pales in comparison to the OGL 1.2
Yeah.
thing.
No,
The
that
disaster. Let's cut to the chase. I mean, we missed that. That would have been prime
Yeah, we
episode
missed it.
recording shit, but we didn't do it. We had stuff going on. I've been seeing like a lot of people, like there was this guy on TG posting how he like has, 5e players come over, and then like the day after all this stuff happened, they're like, yeah, I bought the new Pathfinder book. Could we finish a campaign in that? Or do you know how to run Delta Green? Or do you know how to do this and this? Like it's funny how everyone's so obsessed with D&D, and then the moment it like, the snake rears its head, they're like, never mind, I never liked it ever.
I'm
Have
nodding.
you seen that happening too?
Yeah.
I know you're nodding, but has that
Major
been
amount.
your kind of...
I'm glad I jumped ship before it even happened.
Yeah, me too. I was trying to get back on that ship, and then I was like Pirates of the Caribbean, like the zombies walking under the ocean. I was climbing the side of the ship, and I looked up above the deck and saw what was going on. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I jumped back into the water.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
that would mean you drown.
the whole point of the zombies in Pirates of the Caribbean is they don't breathe, so it don't matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the
you went back
zombie
in the
doesn't
water.
jump back in. It's the officers.
Well, I would jump back in.
The water?
In this allegory,
The
the scene
Yeah.
in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Apparently, I know it better than you.
You don't.
You just made an illusion that you saw the zombies and then you jumped in the water as one of the zombies.
That is literally no.
First
You
off,
completely
they're not
misrepresented
zombies.
what I said. They're not zombies.
They're
correct.
They're
I was
skeletal cursed.
They're dudes who were cursed to be undead, which is basically zombies. Whatever. But they had this whole thing. We don't need to breathe. So to board the enemy ship in secret, we're just gonna walk along the bottom of the cove, climb up the sides of the ships, and take them. And I was saying, that's me trying to get back onto the 5e boat.
Yeah.
But then I look over the side of the boat, there's a bunch of bullshit going on. I'm like, I'm going to go back in the water. That was the whole point of the allegory. That's literally what I said.
Yeah, but you'd be
The
undead,
illusion.
so why would you be concerned?
That now you're stretching it too far.
I'm not. I'm
You're
literally
stretching
applying
it
the
way
exact
too
same.
far. You're stretching it far. You're stretching it way too far. There's bullshit going up on the ship that doesn't happen in the movie, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
That's where the illusion ends, is when you get up top and there's bad stuff. This is awful content. This is awful. You should have just let it go. You should have just let it pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
not the way to make awful content, so.
But I know, like,
Never mind.
never mind.
Yeah, I was going to extend it to a 9/11 joke.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah, never mind.
The gears were a turning. Now, what
Yeah.
if those same zombies found a plane and they? What was I gonna fucking say?
We're talking about the OGL.
Oh my god. Okay.
Switching systems.
Most
Yes.
a lot of people are leaving.
Yes.
I know you've left.
Mm-hmm.
So what ship have you jumped to? You know what? Never mind. Pretend to say ship. I don't want to extend that.
Yeah, you better get off it.
I better get off the ship. So
Yeah.
what's I guess we could, personally, what are you going to? And then have we seen anybody else? What other people are going to?
The vehicle which I have boarded,
Yes.
a ship, is Dungeon Crawl Classics, of
Which is a
course.
good choice. That's one of the ones that people are going to.
It's one of the major ones. They sold out everything, like within the first week.
It was them.
Of the crisis happening.
The crisis. It was them, and it was Paizo. Paizo sold 9 months worth of stock in like 2 weeks. These people were jumping over to Pathfinder 2. And yeah, I know Goodman Games did something similar, which is really cool because I mean, Goodman Games is like an OSR game technically.
Oh yeah,
it is, but also it's like such its own thing. I hesitate to even like.
It's an
call it
OSR
that.
game with bad cable management. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's about right. That's 100% right. But I do like, that that's the thing that people are jumping to because it's so different from the expected. That's what I honestly, if D&D when it would inevitably fall, I didn't expect Dungeon Crawl Classics to be one of the things that people jumped to.
That was a shock because I thought it was completely under the radar for most people.
I think it's the aesthetic is that it is the aesthetic is that it is, but it really, I mean, it looks like it's something that would be, but not necessarily.
Yeah,
I mean, the idea is back in the '80s look of D&D, so it's going to act like it's underground, even though it might not be.
Yeah.
Just the aesthetic of it is supposed to be like hidden.
The aesthetics is a big winner. You're right. I think there's something to be said about because they do the funky dice. Literally, the reason why they say that is because it was like, remember when you were a kid in the '80s, and it's like, no, none of us remember that, you old fuck. And it's like, well, no, but remember, just pretend then.
Yeah.
And you got those weird funky dice, and like you didn't know what they did.
$35.
Yeah, and remember, that's the least fucking '80s thing about DCC remember when the dice cost $40 and it's like they what? Fuck you.
I still haven't opened it because we haven't had the game since, but it should have its tag on it.
Oh, sick! You got a set. Which
Yeah,
one
you
is
got
it?
a set.
Oh no, I took this tag off.
Oh, the art is so cool.
I was like, man,
Eternal Star Seeds. Yeah,
that book is like 40. Was it $40? And the dice is 35.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Insane. Like, so, I think that the aesthetics, the whole point again was that it's like, it's Appendix N fantasy. We've talked about Appendix N stuff multiple times before.
Yeah,
we've read a lot
book
of it.
Club on it.
We do need to do a book club on it. I'm getting back into reading, trying desperately.
Yeah, you always audiobook. But go ahead.
It's hard.
Continue
I
that line
know,
of thought.
but I
Continue your original line of thought.
I'll talk about audiobooks in a bit here. But to continue my original line of thought is it's like
I'm getting back into reading. I'll talk about audiobooks in a second.
Still reading.
No, no. I'm not even trying to get back into reading as like a pretentious thing. It's like I fucking haven't read anything forever.
Yeah.
It's not an RPG thing.
What I was
It's my
alluding to
job.
is the fact that you're listening to audiobooks. You never will.
Yeah, and I'm not listening to audio. Yeah.
Fair. Okay. All right. I got it.
But look, like the whole point is like capturing this really fucking cool aesthetic and all the art does. But a big part of the 80s role-playing stuff and the early role-playing stuff is nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. And DCC also feels that way because everything you do, you roll on some table. You never remember the effects, and all these dice do crazy stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to jump in here and die and whatever. And that's cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's very appealing to the D&D lit.
Yeah.
The D&D cucks sensibilities. Not that it's bad, but just saying that it's like it's very the thing that they've always wanted D&D to do, I think DCC was made to do.
Yeah.
You
No way.
know?
I mean, there's really no way to game your character like there is in Dungeons and Dragons current edition, or even any of the past editions for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
And like what I've found as a dungeon master is even more fun is that I can push options for players to make it feel like there's even more control, that they've got some extra like buttons and stuff to push. But when it gets to the table, it still doesn't matter. We still don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that allows people to make shit up, to be like, oh, I'm going to do this crazy weird superhero thing that I made up in my head. Because instead of it being with D&D, and it's like, well, no, like literally no. Like there's this paragraph in this rule book that says no, and the one after that says fuck you.
Yeah.
But like DC barely even has that. The rules for DCC, like the actual rules are like maybe 20 pages. The rest of that book is like options and crazy tables and then some like ideas. And so it's like, but again, it's made for that. It's made for coming to the table and being like, I don't know what's going on. We're going to make shit up and the game's going to hold together. It's going to be fine. It's going to be just fine because it's funny by making a game that has no internal like integrity, you can just it works for doing whatever you want. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like it was very like it's not like they just threw stuff together. It was very meaningfully constructed to work that way. I think.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I never know what half of the characters at my table are capable of or what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And that fits because none of you know anything that the monsters are capable of going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes during an encounter, I'll reread a stat block and go, "Oh, I've been doing everything completely wrong," but
Doesn't really matter.
it doesn't really matter. And then suddenly I'm like, "Oh, well, then I could use these traits." And instead of just like in a Dungeons and Dragons encounter where you meet trolls and you know exactly how they work,
That never happens.
that never happens in DCC.
Just like I'm sure back in the day, that didn't happen very much because when the people you were playing with, they encounter a troll for the first time, they have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you play 5th edition, it's like I know what the optimal strats are.
Yeah.
I feel like it's D&D's own development history is the problem. Like I don't know if you want something super polished because then it becomes predictable.
Yeah, typically. I mean, the biggest problem I have for D&D is that it is entirely combat oriented. And Dungeon Crawl Classics is as well, but the thing is, it doesn't reward you for getting into combat.
It's also different. Like when you're getting into combat, I mean, it's like part of I'm going in this room and then I'm doing acrobatics and swinging on ropes around and doing all this. Like to say you're in combat I mean, it does. I think I mentioned this before. It is based on 3.5 and sometimes you can tell. Sometimes it slogs to a halt and stuff like that.
Why I like it.
But I do think that like even if combat structurally works similarly to D&D, it doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't feel that way at all.
Yeah. It just feels good. It feels like this. Oh, is this what it feels? This is what it feels like to play an RPG for the first time every time.
Yeah,
and that's what I think people who play D&D wanted. You know,
certainly, yes. Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
that people are jumping towards that.
The giant has been slain, and now it's bleeding out.
It's bleeding,
and from its blood, new worlds will rise.
It's true. Like Kobold Press just making another 5th edition hack, or Critical Role just like doing their own fucking thing. I saw that they're apparently they're doing their next thing is not gonna involve. Did I dream this?
I don't know.
I took a nap before
If I dreamed it, I'd consider it a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I have a nightmare about Matthew Mercer?
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time.
Awful looking. His hair looks terrible.
His what?
You notice that?
I haven't looked recently.
It looks like he straightens his hair, but like not in like a positive way. Like his hair is just kind of this like
toupee-ish.
It does look toupee-ish. Thank you. It does.
I see it. I don't.
Yeah, Matthew Mercer bald confirmed. I've been getting back into I mean, I've been running Hunter a lot, but I've been getting back into Burning Wheel mostly because literally everyone I know in all of our gaming circles owns a copy.
Yep,
for the most part, because in the Monday group, everybody owns a copy. In this online group that we're playing with, everyone owns a copy. And then we convinced 2 people to get a copy because it's only $35.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be
it's
running
as cheap as some dice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as cheap as your dice, man. All right, Matt. Fuck. It's as cheap as your dice, Matt.
No, I own that.
Yeah.
Ben owns a new Bird board game, though. He wants to play that when we play
What's
board
that?
games. It's like you look at birds. I never played it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's on the table. I cleaned the room over there.
Those dice are sick as fuck, but I don't know if they're $35 of dice. You know what I mean?
Wingspan.
I mean, a standard
Oh, yeah.
a standard set of regular like D&D dice is about $20 after tax. So
where the fuck are you getting your dice?
That's the standard price.
No, it's not.
Yeah, $13
Wingspan,
typically,
Wingspan.
$13.99 or so. Then you slap on tax.
Hell yeah, I'm with
It's
it.
bird watching.
That's almost at any gaming store. If you buy, one of those all together sets of dice.
Are
I'm
you
not talking
high?
about you going and buying a Chessex bag of them.
I think he's not wrong.
I understand.
I
You
think
buy a
he's
Chess X
but
plastic
he's talking
box.
about like that big.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're spending more than like $13 after tax, then I don't know what game store are you buying these at.
I don't know.
What year are you
It's
living
been a
in?
while. I don't
Now here, I went and just did that like recently, and it's like the nice
I don't
Chess
know.
X dice
I haven't
sets
bought those.
are like
in a while.
$9.99, and you do the taxes stuff, and it's like
think it
maybe
is $10.
$11,
All right.
$12.
Well, first off, let's not call them nice. All right, that's a little too much.
Chess X.
Yeah.
Chess X is the only brand I trust, baby.
Trust. They're just dice.
Besides the DCC dice, I want to know who. Can I see the bottle again? I want to know who like prints these, because I gotta admit, I also have a tube coming in. I have the Dying Earth. I have the Dying Earth Kickstarter set coming in.
Ooh, that's cool.
So
I
have eyes
accept.
for
I
that.
love that. I do love the stories.
I'll-
Dying stories.
I would
I
love
keep
to
looking
run
for
that.
it in thrift stores to see if I can find Dying Earth books.
Yeah,
It hasn't seen it yet. I think it's going to be harder to find.
yeah. Jack Vance is a popular motherfucker. Impact Miniatures are the guys who print their dice.
We can't trust them.
Mm.
I don't know
No,
if I trust them.
if I don't see that CH, I'll CH you later, man.
Ouch. My ego.
That'd be cool to do some Dying Earth. As if people are on the DCC.
We're
train.
all 13th level wizards. Each one shares one spell. You can prepare that day.
Yeah.
I hope you know what mission you're doing. Well, what are we planning on doing? We're going first to a community meeting with other wizards, and we're going to complain about our, personal space. That's what we're going to do, is complain about one wizard is using too much jackalopes, and one other wizard is chewing too loud during the meeting, and we're going to have a talk about that. Blood will spill.
Yeah. Isn't the Earth ending? Well, yeah, but I want to get one last jab in at the people who annoy me before I escape to my pocket dimension.
Yeah, like legitly kill everyone around them.
Yeah.
They are direct bastards to each other.
A direct bastard.
But
I love Jack
just
Vance.
old people in the community service.
Yeah, it's like it's like the HOA.
They are directly HOAs because at
Yeah.
one point one guy convinces the other guys he's stealing from him, and then he goes back to his house after doing adventure. He's like, "Hey, where's my stuff?" And then he goes to the community. He has a meeting, the community meeting, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "Yeah, this guy said that you were stealing our stuff." That's factually false. And they're like, "No, we can prove it." That's factually false. And then he convinces them to get his stuff and more. And it's just that was one of the stories. Just one guy convincing everybody else that he stole their stuff.
That rules.
And they're like, "Okay, we'll steal his stuff." And they're like, "Shouldn't we wait till he goes back?" Nah. So he goes back to his house
Nice.
like, "Where's all my orbs, guys? We stole your
you guys
orbs."
took all my orbs. Yeah, we took all your orbs, asshole.
And then caught potions and like just, I think they kill everyone around each other because they're two powerful wizards. Where stuff happens, they'll like find an ancient book, and they're like, "Have you used this spell before?" "No." "I don't know. It's a 100,000-year-old book. We don't know." And then they'll just do shit like that.
Stuff it in my brain and give it a shot.
But yeah, you would have like maybe 13th level, you had 5 spells or something. They legitly don't. The NXN book, I think, has one wizard like 6 spells.
Oh yeah.
He used to
Yeah.
spell every scene. I think it's 6.
Yeah, it's one of the first.
That's all he has.
It's one of the first stories because he's like he's like heisting, and he stuffs some spells in his head, and then just runs in there, uses them all, and leaves, and it's like the perfect crime.
Yeah, well,
'Cause he
one
knows
is
exactly what he
Yeah,
needs.
you're talking about when he the guy who reanimates people.
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
life. There's another one where he's chasing a girl because she's hot. She's like naked on a horse.
Oh.
Yep.
And he's
yeah.
like,
Alright.
"I will have her." And then he gets on his Skechers, and then Sonic's towards her.
Yeah.
And then she just dodges him for like a desert. I don't think a desert, but like an ocean.
Sounds like
a
sounds like
swamp.
Jack Vance read Frost Giant's Daughter by Robert E. Howard, because that's the exact same thing
Probably.
Conan does.
Yeah, he runs after her and just a whole bunch of spells
Was
to compensate.
Vance before Howard?
No, he wasn't. I'm pretty sure.
Howard's older, I think.
Yeah, Howard's older by like about 15, 20 years,
Probably
maybe 30.
late 1800s, and I think Vance was writing in the 50s.
No, Howard was writing in the early 1900s.
Jack Vance was
Not
born
18. I meant
in
1890. So yeah,
1916.
Yeah, okay. In terms of life.
yeah. So I'm just saying
Um,
I'm saying the terminology wrong. But yeah, not 1800s, 1900s. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Conan cuts
Yeah,
through
the
a
Dying
whole
Earth
battle.
was 1950.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Conan cuts through a whole battle, sees sees a girl glimmering in the light and is like, I want her, and then just chases her all the way, basically through mythology until he comes up to two giants that are like, oh, dude, this guy's trying to get our girl, and steps in, and he just cuts him, just once, twice, keeps on running, and finally gets to her. She flies up into the sky, and he's like, oh.
You are 100% right, because Robert E. Howard, that stuff was like 35. Like Conan was stuff in Weird Tales. That's very funny that Jack Vance. I mean, at the same time, all those people who were kind of prolific around that time were all just ripping off each other, because that was like peak pulp era, where it was a cross between, this is cool fantasy stuff I like to write, but also, man, am I hungry? You know, like, man.
I mean, because the Weird magazine, I believe they wrote.
Yep,
in. Was it
Weird Tales? Yeah,
Weird Tales. Yeah, that's where like they all got that. I don't know if Weird Tales is still going on, but
I don't think
it probably is just too spread out now.
Yeah, it's definitely a different scene now. Like that's the beauty about a lot of that stuff is it came about during a writing scene that's probably just never going to come back. Like it was a very special moment in time.
Well, I mean, with the internet, I think we just we'll have a lot smaller pockets instead of one big one.
It'd be sick if more people, because if people are so fucking obsessed with writing third-party stuff for D&D, I hope all of that same energy gets put into DCC, and then we start seeing a bunch of just crazy shit like that.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because at least with third-party stuff with DCC, it follows the OSR, kind of maxim of you get it, you steal what you want, and you throw away the rest. And nothing that is produced for third-party D&D stuff is really like that. They're like always their own products or classes or people just trying to make a buck by being like, here's this compilation of classes and stuff. DCC products tend to be an amalgamation of them. I want to copy the Gong Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah, that's a nice book.
It's a fucking cool-ass book. And it really drives home just the gonzo nature of it all. I always have a hard time running DCC. I've talked about this before. It's really I find that it often takes the air out of my tires, and I think that's just no knock on the game. It's just the way that I run. But it would be, when I get the Dying Earth stuff in, it might be worth another shot. It might be a lot of fun. I'm
interested in what sort of tweaks they'll do with the rule set, because I've got Lankmar, and Lankmar had some stuff that people will use on any table now.
Lankmar is so cool too. Man, we do need to actually do the book club. Yeah, we've been literally talking about it for a year. I think it's about time.
I finished, like I said, Appendix N like years ago.
Yeah, I got about halfway through.
There's actually, I loved it. There's tons of stories that surprised me, and I was like, "This is great," because every story was very unique.
It's crazy. They really
very unique.
Whoever compiled all that did a great job. They picked like the best.
Yeah, it really has the feel of what Appendix N should be.
Yeah, and by extension, what DCC should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Futuristic cities and all that.
No. Well, I mean, I think DCC should be Quest for Fire, but that's because cavemen.
Yeah, which you could do.
Yeah,
and that also
we broke that by talking.
Yeah,
that's true.
All.
Yeah,
but that's what's so beautiful about DCC too is that the Gonzo caveman shit is definitely its own like science fantasy
fits.
genre.
And the thing is, I can still throw in whatever I want, tech wise, magic wise, anything. I mean, I've got plans for just regular, normal medieval villages and stuff showing up. But what's cool is that you guys come from a different perspective. The characters themselves are grounded as cavemen.
Yeah. You could always use the MCC artifact rules.
Oh,
if you want to start getting real funky. Start dropping like, all right, here's a laser gun. Now, half of the adventure is figuring out what the hell it is, and then the other half is,
glow stick.
The monster manual. The monster manual I bought for it. Every one of the stat blocks has conversions written in on the same page for MCC.
Which is that? Oh yeah, because it's the Umerica stuff, and that is like a mainly. I think, from what I understand, it's mainly an MCC setting, but they're just like, but you could just kind of do both. It's not that difficult. Are you going to get the new bestiary they're kickstarting? That Goodman Games is announced.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like 512 monsters.
Officially from Goodman Games.
I think it's official.
That would be so cool, because actually, I'd say that's probably one of the weakest things about just the standard DCC book. It gives you it gives you a handful of examples for building monsters, but not a ton.
But that's a feature. I think the bestiaries do help because they're so gonzo, and being able to pick a monster for inspiration and just have it ready is really nice. But I need to find it again. I need to give it to you. There is this 1-page reference for monster stats for DCC on the fly, and that is what most people who run DCC use for monsters, is just that one sheet. Because I think you're pretty much expected to make it all up, because it's like, the characters aren't going to know. It can be gonzo. You don't have to balance anything. All of that basically begs you to just make shit up, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that the bestiaries aren't cool and aren't useful, but I think, I think you're describing a feature, not a bug, but it's a feature that not everyone, especially I imagine people coming from D&D, necessarily like.
Oh, yeah. Not a fan.
Which is fine, because they make solutions.
Because it's not just the stat blocks; it's the lore that's poured into whatever I'm reading. I run very well when I've got some rails, like when I'm running. When I was running Eberron or Ravenloft, there's certain rules, there's certain things, world ideas that exist that I have to abide by, and then because of that, it creates obstacles that naturally have to go, well, if this exists in this world and this doesn't, then how would what I want to do work? And typically by reading through some lore on a monster stat block or whatnot, it gives me the answer. Whereas if I'm coming up with a monster on the fly, then
monster that pees and poops.
It is official. It is an official
wow,
thing.
Cool.
Dungeon Denizens, 500 plus new monsters for 5e and DCC.
Denizens.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. Yeah, that's fucking crazy looking. There's a lot of really cool art.
What there's there examples of the monsters in it?
Oh yeah, they have a lot of examples, and there's the stretch goals. There's like another 50 monsters they're unlocking slowly. Stuff like Ocular Worm, and Abhorrent Toad, Door Golems.
Cool.
Cockatrice.
Classic.
Yeah, that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, DCC is a good way to go, I think. I think it's a really good way to go. Another one that people are going to a lot is Call of Cthulhu, which I love it. I love that, and I love Delta Green. I don't think they are going to get what they expect, because a lot of the understanding of like Lovecraftian mythos stuff, which I would put close to Appendix N stuff, especially when you consider that him and Robert E. Howard were like writing buddies and shit like that. Yeah. A lot of people just go, "Oh, I have a Cthulhu Funko Pop, haha, so rad, so cool. Let's play Call of Cthulhu, haha," and don't really fucking understand like any of the theming, the tonal stuff, any of the expanded mythos like at all. Like it's all like fucking Marvel tier understanding of this shit.
And the thing is with how Call of Cthulhu is structured and built, a lot of people will approach wanting to do a Lovecraftian game doing the pulp stuff, having a gun, going down into a dungeon, shooting cultists and whatnot. A lot of people mix it as just this, it's creepy Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But Call of Cthulhu doesn't play that way. Call of Cthulhu really plays from a very academic sort of real mental space of your character.
Yeah.
It's not about your character being devoured by something that's, pulling itself out of a well that you just don't understand and you take a ton of damage. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
Your character devours themselves through their actions.
It's when you read a book and you take a sanity hit from reading the book, and now you have to decide whether you want anybody else to read the book.
Yeah.
It's when a book can be like your worst enemy. Your worst fucking nightmare is reading a book.
Yeah.
Which, in Call of Cthulhu, anytime someone's like, you see a book, it's like, I'm illiterate. There's no fucking way you're going to make me read that.
That's I know how to power game Call of Cthulhu.
Just be a fucking moron, an unobservant, uneducated idiot. That's the way you do it. That being said, there is a Pulp Cthulhu, an official Pulp Cthulhu expansion for running creepy Indiana Jones, which I do appreciate from, again, kind of, I feel that fits neatly into the, not necessarily Appendix N, but definitely like noir, like detective shit and adventure stories and stuff. It fits within, that kind of tradition.
I remember there was a 3.5 hack from Dragon Magazine that actually did the same thing. and it was basically reintroducing all the base classes for.
Call of Cthulhu D20 was its own book.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monty Cook's Call of Cthulhu.
I haven't played much Call of Cthulhu. I assume you don't play it super often because it's kind of like samey. I assume because it's like you're gonna hit the same beats. I'm afraid PC pants.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting point.
I feel like it's a game I haven't played it. I feel like I played it once, but maybe not. But it doesn't feel like a kind of game you would play a long period of time.
So I feel like it is one of you're right in that it can get really samey. I think what's important is that you do play it for a long period of time. Because you have campaigns like Horror on the Orient Express and Masks of Nyarlathotep, and those campaigns literally take place in it's 600-700 pages of straight campaign over multiple continents and all this stuff.
Wow, that'd be super cool.
I wanted to run Masks of Nyarlathotep for a while. The thing is so when you are kind of absorbing people into this greater mystery, it maintains the interest more often. But if you're just doing short adventures or one-shots, you notice all of a sudden the loop is it's basically the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But if you extend the loop over a campaign that's supposed to take years and span multiple characters, then you don't have to worry about it.
I just thought sanity damage was just so easy.
Oh yeah, no.
How do you keep it going without a character pissing himself?
I mean, you don't. Well, so think of it like this. So, Master Nyarlathotep, I mean, they say you're gonna have characters go insane or die. It's going to happen.
Okay, just burn through them,
kind of what you do is, and that's part of. So, Massive Nyarlathotep has a time limit. It's timed. The players might not necessarily know that. But what's important is so let's say I have a character who goes insane, and I'm like, oh well, he has a brother. And his brother's going to come and see what happened to him and is going to collect his possessions. And then the characters are going to come forward and be like, hey, you're in the crew now. Sorry. Come help with this. That adds to the, that does a couple things. One, it adds to the theming of, knowledge as a disease, basically, as a viral thing that spreads. Yeah. The other thing it does is make it to where you can have a party that is none of the same people you started with, but they might know different things. Because knowledge can die with your character. Sometimes what happens is you'll be writing investigative notes in a notebook, and if you die and your notebook would be burned, you go out back and you burn your notebook. And now that's knowledge no one can have. So you almost need to be ready for, I need people, if in case I die, I need people to be able to know this stuff so they can stop it. But I also don't want everyone to know, and I don't want these notes to fall into the wrong hands. So you almost have to plan for dying, in a sense, because you can literally set back the investigation by improperly preparing for the next investigators, if that makes any sense. Especially in something that you go to Shanghai, you go to New York, you go to
So is
Egypt,
it less lethal in general during that huge campaign?
No, it's pretty lethal.
I just feel like it'd just be a loop. Oh no, beep, beep, beep. Piss.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right. It is a loop. Beep, 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 piss. But that's why you play these big campaigns, because what's more interesting is this huge, complex investigation you're doing, not the experiences of your character. It's because if I know I'm going to go through, it's this investigation needs to be completed regardless of how many characters I go through. That loop you're describing is less perceptible because it's just par for the course as part of the investigation. But if there's just one small mystery and you're just doing that over and over again for a mystery you completely solve every time, then it'll get very samey fast. Yeah. But if you're 3 months and 2 characters, if you're 6 months and 2 characters in and you're like, oh shit, in one of my old characters' notebooks, which I still had, he had this written down. I think that actually means this, and we need to go. Now that becomes a lot more interesting because even though you're still doing these little individual loops with these characters, you're still doing this broad investigative loop with your party, with the players at the table.
It's also very cool because how anything like that is done in D&D or almost any other system. Anytime you're finding lore, you're completely, as a player and as a character, disconnected from its origins in a way. You find some ancient thing written in Dwarvish script or whatnot. Okay, it says that this horrible ordeal happened, and they tried to seal off this section. Okay, that's just information that you are still in action hero mode are interacting with and going, all right, well, this is just relevant. Whereas when it's your own character, or even better, someone else's character's work, and you as a player understand the full extent that they went to get that, and then it happens to fall into another player character's hands, there's this great, it's almost, you're taking the actual burden of understanding.
Yeah.
And you understand its weight.
That's so cool. So that's a good point. Because usually how knowledge works in like D&D is somebody rolls a die and you say this is what you know, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I never liked that. I've always liked
yeah.
backgrounds like you talked about. Like I like walking in a situation. It's like, yeah, you're like you said with DCCs. Your background, you know what you're doing. You're not like completely blind to everything. You would know a lot of stuff just offhandedly.
Yeah. This is another thing. I think it's good that people are being that I think it's correct for. I keep trying to find new derogatory ways to say people who play D&D, because you know the type of people I'm thinking of. You know what I'm talking about. I think it's good that they're being funneled to DCC, because I think that will, for the most part, fit what they should have been playing in the first place, and what I feel like a lot of people who played D&D for a long time wished it was. Mm-hmm. Games like Call of Cthulhu, which all of us just expressed appreciation for the way that it handles knowledge and does all this stuff, people are going to get so fucking filtered. They're going to get filtered so hard. Like they're going to go and try and play these other games, and then they're going to be like, it doesn't work. It's not like D&D. I can't be my double fairy tiefling who's evil but also good and was born an orphan.
Yep.
But had no parents ever, born from demon pits, and they're going to fucking lose their goddamn minds. And they can go do that in DCC, and what's nice is them doing that, it doesn't really fucking matter what they do.
But,
everything's going to be blowing up and going insane anyway, so what does it matter if someone, makes a character like that?
Yeah.
But they're going to go play Call of Cthulhu, and then they're going to have a shit time, and then luckily they'll never bother people who actually play the game ever again.
can I be pedantic for 1 second?
Yeah.
A fairy wouldn't know their parents because they're fae.
Oh, that's a good point.
Got a good point.
It's
And
back-
also, you would be one of the zombies climbing onto that ship.
I'd be one of the fairy zombies.
Yeah.
Like climbing onto the ship. I've been thinking about this idea of this kind of segues into Burning Wheel. I think for me,
Dude,
I think
I was thinking, what if when you were saying all that, I was like blanking out, and I was thinking,
when you were saying all that, I wasn't paying attention, and I was thinking about what I was gonna say.
no, what if we didn't have Cthulhu or anything else, and it just was Burning Wheel as the only competitor?
Oh,
what weird
I'd come.
landscape would happen?
I'd
Well,
come. It would be a great landscape.
What a weird landscape.
The thing is, with Call of Cthulhu, Burning Wheel has the exact same mechanisms built in. It doesn't quite have the appropriate ladder of digging into lore and stuff. But in terms of characters, their actual traits, their possible skills, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that in some Burning Wheel games would never come up. Obscure history, religious history, diatribe,
religious
specific doctrine.
diatribe, yeah.
Oratory.
You could,
oratory
you could-
rarely comes up.
if you had the life paths built in the right way. Burning Wheel would be an amazing Call of Cthulhu game, I believe.
Yeah.
I
But I guess it's interpersonal. It's hard.
don't know what you mean by Cthulhu game. Like, do you mean add like a horror game? Do you mean add like
I'm
sanity as an emotional attribute, or which Steel?
Oh,
already
actually,
kinda is.
I wasn't thinking about that. Sanity
Steel
as an
already is.
emotional.
Well, I mean,
attribute
because
would
Burning
not be
Wheel
bad.
is because I was talking about. What made me think of this is the idea that this kind of way of interacting with information is not the action hero way that people would want to, so they'll get filtered out of Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
Burning Wheel is the great filter. Like, if you can't play Burning Wheel, I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to play RPGs with you.
I think Burning Wheels are like a training.
It-
really.
yes,
it just mostly trains you.
I completely
than
agree.
Playing, it just trains you.
What
Really?
is like so important to me about it is like think about the amount of time that we've had to invest into even understanding the game, let alone theory crafting the game and then playing the game. I don't want anybody to go through that amount.
I mean, you spent
again.
5 times, 10 times more than I have. But when we first came out, we definitely tried to play several times.
Yeah. And I think we've between all of our collective brains put together, I think we've kind of got it.
90% you. But yeah.
Yeah, but
You're
still,
great.
like,
You're great at translating everything. I feel like it's seamless.
Which, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm excited to run it again. And that did kind of come up when we were burning some characters for a Burning Wheel game last night, and teaching everybody the jargon and the way to think, and just already knowing all that and being able to regurgitate it. There was a guy in that group. This is the second time I've run a Burning Wheel game for someone who's never played RPGs before, period. And they had some of the best time in character creation, which you wouldn't expect. Yeah. You would expect someone who's never played RPGs to bounce right off it because it's so complex, but no, it's because they've been trained in these ways to think these other ways, and Burning Wheel completely retrains the way that you think about.
It's amazing.
Mechanics, interaction, the story. It is amazing.
Yeah, because you're reason. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's literally like, wait, I've never thought about that way. Like you've unlocked some weird like they this is what they haven't told you moment.
Yeah,
it's a whole different way of feeling. It completely changes your mind.
Well,
it does.
For character creation, for so many other systems, it's basically it focuses on 2 to 3 hours, depending on your system, of what is your character going to do. Yeah. Whereas Burning Wheel doesn't care about what your character is going to do. It asks you, what does your character mean?
Yeah. That's what I took from Burning Wheel years ago. Because I don't care what my character does.
Yeah. Well, and the system barely cares what your character does. Yeah. I mean, it cares in the sense that you're running through these mechanics, but it cares way more about why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's literally there's no way to progress without that.
I think but so thinking about like the amount of time I've invested in it, and then when you're playing Burning Wheel, how invested you have to be in your character, in each other's characters, in playing the game, in the setting you're playing. What I like about that is it becomes very clear very quickly who I don't want to play with. Like if it's somebody who isn't as pumped as me to figure out who these characters are and what they're going to do, then I'm like, you're probably not someone I want to play RPGs with anyway. And I feel like there's so many people, but the thing is there's a third person I'm thinking of who will be in a Burning Wheel game we're doing soon, who is probably going to experience the same thing. I ran a one shot for him of Burning Wheel, and he loved it, and he had never played an RPG before, and he got really, really into it. It really does. It's so fucking cool.
Gosh, this is imagining if I played Burning Wheel as my first role playing game,
right? Isn't that fucking? I'm jealous of them, but it's so uncanny. It's like it means something that it keeps working that way, but what that means is I think it's even less that D&D trains people to think a certain way, they bounce off of it. I think it's even more that they're hungry for those authentic like storytelling and world building and gameplay experiences, and they're willing to suffer through a ton of stuff they don't understand in order to get it. And Burning Wheel does reward you for that. But there's going to be a lot of players who are leaving D&D who come over and would try to play Burning Wheel, and it becomes obvious very quickly that they never wanted that in the first place. Yeah. They wanted the power fantasy. They wanted the role play where I always win. Maybe they just wanted to just hang out with friends, which is also very cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And I think, playing a game like Burning Wheel is a way to like facilitate that. But if you're not playing Burning Wheel to play the game, to have cool experiences, to do this stuff, you're immediately going to be like called out by the game, basically.
I've heard of I've met a lot of people that have gotten into playing D&D, might not even be aware of the whole OGL crisis and whatnot.
That's true.
But they're certainly in the era, and I remember back in the day being in the era of just you're showing up, you're realizing you're in a space that you can have anything happen. So everything that happens is just the most over-the-top, ridiculous, the bard sleep with a dragon, ha ha ha. Just whimsical fun, and also not so fun with, players finding, I can act out against others at the table, and because it's in a simulated environment, maybe I can get away with it. There's a whole learning, of a different learning, an opportunity for problematic play that D&D introduces.
It doesn't push back.
Yes.
Burning Wheel pushes back hard on every single thing your character does, and you're gonna have all these D&D players who have never had a pushback in their fucking life, to the point where they're like, sorry, you have to revise entire source books because you're pushing back on the shit I want so much. They're like, if they were gonna play Burning Wheel, they'd be in for a rude fucking awakening, and that's what I want. I want to facilitate that rude awakening, either to grab them by their fucking head and be like, wake up, or just to know that it's like, okay, good, then I don't have to worry about your opinion. Goodbye.
It helps to wake up, but I think, what I've always when I've talked to these folks, when whatever they describe for their games, I'm happy for them because I'm like, yeah, it sounds like you're having fun. But one day you're gonna wake up and realize you've been starving.
Yep.
You're gonna stop and go, what if we could tell something beautiful? Here? Something tragic, something
Your stories are shit.
horrible.
Yeah. What if my story wasn't crap? Well, yeah, it is. It's not just not crap. It's it's realizing.
What if you're just make a good story for?
Yeah.
I don't know why you said it like that.
What if I just played this game and had fun? What if that happened?
I think they're having fun and doing stories.
No, they are. But you
It's
can
like the way you described it was like, what if you actually do it?
My belief is you can only play that way for so long.
Yes, P. You will. Well, that's the thing. Is some people can play like that forever. Like I think some people can play like that forever. But those are the people I don't want at my table.
Yeah.
I want those people who are hungry. I want those people that when we play a game, we are playing the game. We're not just using it as an excuse to get together. As happy as I am to do so, and I've talked about in the past how great role playing games are for that. But you kind of reach this point where you're like, I don't just want people showing up at the table. I want people who are coming to the table because they've got opinions about how this story's going to go.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, I love that. Burning Wheel, ironically, even though I understand, I've spent many a year studying the scriptures and,
pretty much,
and stuff like that. I've run the least, but every session of it has been just absolutely memorable. Even the one shot I did recently with the boys, who all love Burning Wheel and stuff like that, shit got off the rails very quickly, in a good way. Like shit is such an escalatory game. Like if you're not doing things that are interesting and escalatory, then who cares? Yeah, and I love that. You know,
Matt has certainly learned this because anytime I've had you at a game with just a bunch of strangers, everyone starts playing kind of the typical way I would expect, and then I'm like, so Matt, what are you doing? And then he takes his turn, and I can see immediately everyone's gears around the table like lock up and go, what is happening? you can just not be involved in the combat. That's what? And then I see other people over the course of an hour or two start to change the way they play.
I love it.
That's what I've always wanted.
Beautiful.
That's why I struggled at DM, because I think that I've came from more of a probably high horse where I like want to change people how they play.
Sure.
And I think I don't know how to translate that. I think that's why you do really well as DMing, because you can like,
all the brain computer sounds.
But I think that like I was thinking just like 10 minutes ago, just to interrupt, is that Burning Wheel, I think scientifically gets to the point of why you play in D&D. Like when people talk about like, I think that's why you were getting to exactly what I was going to say, fucking the dragon. Is that part of D&D? No, but it's the assumption. Why? Because the character wants to do that. So Burning Wheel sidesteps that whole thing, which is, what does my character want to do, and forces you to already understand what you want to do for the most part. Obviously, sometimes it takes a session. And so everything matters because you're forced to actually give a shit about everything. Because you're from the get-go, you're starting with why.
In that exact,
from the beginning.
In that exact same situation in Burning Wheel, if the character is going to fuck the dragon, everyone has known that for sessions. And when it happens, everyone goes, oh, yep, this has been expected, and or it's not been expected, and you stop and go, yeah, it makes complete sense, and holy shit, everything's going to fall apart now.
Well, and then what's also really cool, you're right. Everything's always collapsing and rebuilding, cyclically, which I love because you're expected to fail and you're expected to throw your character into shitty situations. Yeah. But what I love too about now, instead of, I want to fuck the dragon and being a meme at the table, if I want to fuck the dragon as a belief, then the GM constructs this whole scenario where it's like, this dragon is your character's wildest desires. You've done these tests upon tests upon tests in order to get a relationship with them and whatever, and then they turn into like their human form and it's time to go, but like, you know that in the morning she's going to turn into a dragon, go fly down there and burn alive everyone you've ever known. Yeah. And now it's a question of what is more important to you, the thing you've wanted your entire life or the things you already have.
But one of the
game just asks those questions.
One of the better things is if your character is built to fuck the dragon, there will be another character or two or the entire table that is oriented to stopping you from
just
fucking
kill
the
the
dragon.
dragon. Yeah,
Yeah, because you have to have those opinions. Yeah.
That does not happen in D&D.
That's
That's what I'm saying is like, think about how people tell D&D stories. Like I said, I fucked the dragon. Was that part of the campaign? I bet the campaign was finding an amulet. They do a lot of people tell stories of the in-between because that's what they want to do. The Burning Wheel forces you to do from the beginning. You can tell the whole story because the why was forced and ingrained on you from the beginning. So the whole story of Burning Wheel is described. Nothing's in between when you do Burning Wheel. D&D, when people are telling stories of D&D, a lot of the time it's the in-between of when they were doing
preach.
things.
I like
A lot of the time.
Burning Wheel
I like
promotes
that.
a growth mindset in a way because D&D's all focused on the reward. It's not how you fuck the dragon. You just want to have done it and be able to say that you did and
Well,
laugh
you
about
messed
it.
with the goblin,
that
you did
cloaca,
something,
and then
yeah.
yeah.
Well, like you said, you mess with the dragon. You like to get to the point. You have a story of like, we had to do this to do the main course.
When a paladin falls in D&D, it's never anymore. It's never a consequence of their actions. It's the player going, this is something I want to do, and that I want the reward of now being the evil guy.
Burning Wheel cuts scientifically fixes that.
Burning Wheel,
like objectively fixes that. You're right.
Burning Wheel addicts you not to the reward, but to the long effort towards it.
And I think I think these people who would bounce off of Burning Wheel. I'll now, you know what? I'll refer to D&D players as the lost.
But I have a counter to that. I have a counter to that thing.
Okay.
Do you want to finish your thought?
Well, I'm going to finish my thought. Yeah, because what I was going to say is because we were just saying that there are people who were fine with just kind of showing up and playing whatever their whole lives, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are like hungry and want more. I think there are a lot more people who are hungry without realizing. Like you said, Casey, you wake up one day and you realize you're fucking starving. But I feel like because Burning Wheel, like these players thrive on the empty space in the in-between where they feel where they can get away with and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And a game that challenges that very precept, they would I could see someone being absolutely like enraged by. Yeah. But it's like, but it's what you want.
There's no
you
wasted
have to make it
space.
through. You know,
There's no wasted space.
There is no more wasted space, but you're addicted to. You're not used to there not being empty space. So I'm gonna fucking take this and beat you to death like it's an exorcist.
I have a counter.
Like I'm an exorcist.
And I have a counter to that
you.
because Burning Wheel is so active. I think by the book it burns you out too. It is an extremely active game.
Now
you can't relax as much as an act because you have to be there's no gap. You are doing your why the entire time.
Yeah.
But in D&D, other one, you can sit around and be like, okay, now I attack, now I do rogue. You could jump into different times and kind of just chill. Burning Wheel doesn't allow you to do that. You need to be active.
I think that's very good. That's very true and that's very interesting. But so something that a lot of people identify as a big flaw of Burning Wheel, which I think we've seen too, is the party doesn't stick together. In fact, it's the exact opposite.
I tried. Okay, I tried to stick together people.
You did. But that's the thing, right? Is every time I've tried to run Burning Wheel, that's happened, and it's been like, fuck. Now we have all these people sitting around not doing anything while we spotlight a character or whatever. There's been a lot of people who complained about it, and then people who have talked about how that's actually a feature of the game. And I feel like that what's important is to actually spread it out more and have more of that, because the island game burned us out pretty quick because it was like we were constantly trying to force things to come together.
I could have grinded much for it.
Oh yeah,
right.
Me too.
But what I mean is that I think because Burning Wheel games are intended to last for years. They're intended to go on and on and on and on. Yeah. And I think the way you prevent burnout is even at a session you're not always on. You're hanging out with your friends, you're enjoying the story, but that's the thing, right? Is if you're not there for the story and for the other characters, then you're just going to sit there and be bored instead of being like, maybe trying to throw some things in, or maybe, I have an NPC idea for this, or this and this. You're active in a different way.
Yeah.
And I used to be so self-conscious about someone not being at the table and just being like, well, I'm not doing anything, and it's like, that's not my fault. You should be doing something. You know what I mean?
As some consolation, every time I've played Burning Wheel and I am not in the spotlight, I am just as invested in what is happening.
That's what I'm saying. It's very active.
I care way more about what other characters are doing and how they're doing it and what happens.
Well, especially last time, we were so
successes and
interconnected.
Yes.
If I did something, it was power struggles.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
especially the last game, it was if I did something, it probably directly affected somebody else.
The last game,
Almost
if anything,
everybody.
it burned me out because
No,
I was
think it was
trying
most
so
of you,
hard.
which is
to,
not your fault. Because it was we were fucking drilling at each other, grinding each other down, and you're like,
but that's perfect. But that's the thing. Every time I've been burned out by Burning Wheel, every time I've ended a game, it's because I only realized after the fact. It's because I was pushing against what the system is designed to do. Because I have preconceived notions still after a decade of playing this game about what it should look like.
Yeah,
and
but
I need to stop.
That's why, at least for me, it's like because Burning Wheel is so focused on the why, you are grinding each other to the stub. Well, in D&D, because it's like there is an adventure we're doing and working together, our whys aren't that important.
Yeah.
You can totally.
Yeah.
We have so many games where no one's background is ever mentioned.
Never.
Because the main goal is to blow up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what your background is. The goal is the dragon's killing everybody. We need to kill the dragon. Burning Wheel is the dragon's killing everybody, and everyone's deeply sociological issues of why that's happening.
Yeah.
And they won't shut up about it. So I think Burning Wheel, I could see it run for a long time, but I think at least how we've been playing it, it's so active. I think it could be, because I mean, sometimes I mess with my phone during games, but usually, like, there's tons of work I have to do sometimes when I get home. But like, I'll just skip it in those D&D days. I don't do work. You see, I don't work. I could do estimates and stuff. I don't work when I play D&D. I try to put my phone down. But like you said, Burning Wheel, at least how we've, like you said, maybe we a different way of playing it. It's so active, it can be a little burning. It can really be a burning wheel yourself.
It's true.
D&D is like, roll. The dragon get this much damage. You can chill. I can't. I don't. I can't chill. At least the last character played, I can't chill.
I think
I need to win.
I think and again, I think you're completely right. But I also think that the game, the way you're supposed to run it, because I was trying to run it how I thought it should go. I think the game is supposed to provide those natural kind of
unifiers,
ebbs and flows, like in the sense that it's like, if you as a player are like, all right, well, I'm not going to be doing anything for the next 45 minutes, and that's fine. I can actually like combat. It's like I can sit back and be like, I can take a fucking second, But also, just because something is important and goes to a belief doesn't mean it has to be immediately in contention with two other players in a really high string situation.
Yeah.
True. So you can also kind of, I think, putting it all in one location like that and making it a pressure cooker like that. I feel like we would still be playing the game if I had maybe gotten out of that situation a few sessions sooner, and then we had a time skip. People could log practice, kind of go their different ways, rewrite beliefs, and then we increased the scope of the game because what we had outgrew the setting that we created.
Yeah, I think it was a pressure cooker. Yeah.
I mean, well, that's actually exactly what I'm having to do in writing. Because you burned out from the game, and I'm still burning out from trying to write my way through it.
Yeah.
And Burning Wheel, I've found, has been an amazing tool to use for understanding your characters, how they intersect with their relations, their beliefs, their ideals, everything. And through writing it, I have to expand the scope.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to. And I think, God, it's so beautiful. I also think it's just so cool and a testament to Burning Wheel you're able to write a whole novel off of
because you make characters, and most time you're writing is just what the characters do. Like Stephen King, if you know or like any time where there's a show that lasts 10 seasons, after I don't know maybe the third season, everyone knows what the characters are. They literally just throw darts on the board. I listen to more Sunny podcast, Always Sunny. They literally, everyone's character is extremely understood. And so they literally go, what if this? And then the whole script writes itself. That's why I'm saying Burning Wheel, because the whys are so important. Even if you don't know what your character wants, you're kind of forced to know what you want after a couple sessions.
Right.
Because if you stay in the sidelines, your character is now going to be a passive voice.
Once that wheel starts turning, it don't stop.
It grinds you.
Yeah. And I guess even being a passive voice, even being a passive character.
You made a decision.
You did make a decision, but that's also not necessarily a bad one. Because, if you're because I would argue that your character, even though was actually very active. In practice, was a lot more passive.
Oh,
And got
yes.
pulled into like a lot of scenes that maybe you didn't have a big part in, but you still impacted. Like so, even being like a fly on, being like a minor. Well, it's like you can think about a TV show. There's plenty of characters who ended up being like minor characters based on their screen time alone, who still have a huge impact on the characters in the world.
They're
around
being
them.
grinded in their own way. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, God, I don't know. I was put on this earth to be Luke Crane's prophet.
Yeah.
I fucking want to do. Yeah. We'll probably have to.
Oh man, I just realized I've got all these birds, and I haven't had a name for the crane.
Oh.